Hey traders, welcome to this video. Will Sebastian, Pro Multi-Asset Day Trader. Don't forget you can go underneath this video if you want to come and join my live trading room. We teach traders on charts every day at the New York session and you get tons of content as well to learn from. So let's go ahead and talk about Bitcoin because it's rising and rising and rising and rising. We know it's a HVA or a high volatility asset. So there's a little bit of risk involved, although some do see it as, in inverted commas, safe haven asset because of the way it's turning now and the way you've got your ETF news and things like that. So there's a mixed bag and mixed view of the approach on really how people view Bitcoin in itself, which is really interesting. And I'm sure that will develop over time. But at this current point, I've started on the most important chart, which is the hourly. Now, a disclaimer to start with, if you're going to trade Bitcoin, I always say to everyone I mentor, I teach, it's just got to be small. And if you're going to be trading it short as well, you have to be really careful because you can get absolutely blasted, if it keeps going higher from here. Now, the reason why I say that this current chart I'm on is the most important is because it shows you that where the momentum is, and at this point the momentum is with Bitcoin to the upside. So of course, like I said, if you're going to be shorting, you have got inherent risk. Not only are you trading a HVA, which can absolutely bomb about really quickly with massive moves compared to other assets, you've got momentum and key price action showing you the upside continually. So that's really why every single drop is just absolutely negligible and minimal. It doesn't take you anywhere. It doesn't do much. It's not the same as something like this, for example, yesterday where you had a larger drop. So more and more support coming in for Bitcoin, and it's the same for Ethereum and other crypto assets. Now, this has come about after you've had your ETF update. Originally, and we'll just put time frames up, originally with that ETF news, I mentioned not to FOMO buy at that point. I said, look, just let it come back at least a little bit, okay? And we mentioned about where this candle wick here is in comparison to the historic market. You can see if you look across the board, you've had this level of rejection before. So, like I say to all my members as well, and in all my streams and posts, the point of trading really is to be a detective, look for the evidence as to why you would buy something. And mainly that's going to come down to what other traders are doing. It doesn't really matter at all in trading what you think as an individual. It really doesn't, because your individual decisions will not move the market in themselves. Okay, it's low up trillions probably of dollars transacted. So you've got to understand, well, if I'm trading the way everyone else is to make money, where is everyone else trading? Now, the candle wick you saw here came almost at your earliest key MA, which is a good reference point for a strong uptrend. But you can see across the board where I'm labeling, there's various rejection areas here. It's a flip zone is what we call it. So you can see that. So that's why it was reasonable to plan for long side entries. And I did update my post saying, look, if you're going to buy, you could do it now, but you just do it very lightly. And the key thing with Bitcoin or Ethereum or any crypto asset as well is that really to trade it, you've just got to be a believer. You've got to be someone who believes in the cause because it is a new asset, and it's debatable as to what it will do. And of course, we'll see that in the near future. Really, any asset that flies up is like that, or any new company, penny stock, if you like. It all has to come down at the end of the day to whether you believe in the long-term cause. Now, if it were a stock, for example, what I would look for really is a long history, first of all, okay, which is the caveat trading crypto now. And just repeated progress over time, consistent uptrends for long periods. So you've had that since over here when you crashed right down November 22. You had a lot of people take longs at that point. You'd be probably couple of percent, 100% up at that point because the price has gone from 16, 32, 48 and beyond. Okay. So tripled your money almost. So anyhow, what you can see similarly to what I just said with your previous long zones is key resistance coming up. So at this key resistance, it could be ideal to think about at least taking some of your gains or locking gains in. There'll be many holders who are thinking of liquidating here. Some traders will be looking much higher, but again, it's questionable whether you will get up there. There is absolutely no fact in it. I'm not saying it won't happen, by the way. I'm not saying it won't get there. I'm not saying that at all. Purely all I'm doing is giving you a technical bias on this, because your risk plans have got to adjust for assets like this. Typically within our academy, we do teach people how they can trade crypto if they choose to, but we stick to very stable assets to get a consistent and safer approach income long term. So you can see currently where you're rising to. If you look at the previous move and you compare it with a fib level, it gives you an ideal gauge of the value. And the value, you're coming up, really approaching your 70% fib, which can be a flip zone. And that's ideal value, okay? The reason why I'm saying this is because within a retracement, you start to get to the high probability levels or the higher probability levels of a flip around 78.6, 88.6 and up to 100, because those are the areas where traders who had it long are going to want to start to say to themselves, well, maybe I should bank my money, maybe I should put it away, maybe I should take profit here. And that's really, really key to understand, because you've got to remember that there is going to be a time where traders and investors who are in crypto assets, Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever it is, are going to decide to take their money off the table. Because if they never do, I mean, you can't make money, can you? It doesn't matter how high something goes. If you never take profit, you just can't make money from it. So, like I said, when the value gets high, and how do we know it's high value? Well, it's approaching the all-time high, so it's got to be expensive in terms of what you can physically see. Yes, there's the argument it could go up higher, but remember as well, and again, I'm not saying this will happen specifically for anyone who goes in the comments and says, oh, Bitcoin's going to be worth $1 million. There is a case for it to not go as high. That does exist. Okay, it's not fair to say that there's no case for a drop on crypto assets. There's every case for it. Okay, you could have extreme regulation. You could have a release of, the digital pound, for example, or the digital, whatever in any economy. Every economy having a digital asset, it would remove the need for other crypto assets, essentially, because you'd have a higher supply of crypto assets. There'd be more competition in the market. It's like opening another business within all the other businesses that are on the same street. So there is the short side case. Don't pretend that this will go up forever for definite, because it's just not the case. I mean, if you thought that here, you got absolutely creamed. If you thought there, you got absolutely creamed. So you're going to have to think to yourself, okay, well, we're coming to an area where we previously fallen enormously. What decision do I want to make? Okay, and that's all the way around here, higher up. So I'm just going to get rid of these and explain from a technical bias what I'm saying. So if we take a general area like this, a price area, because remember, when we're trading, we're not looking for exact price points. Okay, to be accurate, you don't need that. All you need is really an area of price. And it's important to note, just before we get to that you're coming off well from your early MAs. So price is now getting to that extreme point. You haven't hit your moving averages since about $29,000. Okay, so soon you'll be double that amount, $58,000, still without hitting this MA if you keep going up. Now, like I said, there are rare times where that occurs, like you had here from 2020, but that was in an extreme scenario. But you can see eventually the market does return and come back through those MAs ultimately as the market falls like this, okay? So, like I said, remember, the longer you go, the more likely it is you're going to drop. And this would be an ideal area for it in the very long term, because that is a non-negotiable fact that is the highest price ever. And if you've got longs and you're well in gains and you've seen this before, you get a lot of larger money bodies, okay, institutions, for example, who say to themselves, let's bank our profits. We've made 300%, let's take our money, or 400%, or however much they've made. They're happy with that, because 300% immediately is great. Okay, you could risk perhaps 4, 5, 6, 700%, but lots of those institutions have the long-term trading mindset, which is exactly what we teach in our academy. It's taking consistent gains and not gambling on potential moves higher, because when you do that, you get far more consistency. So if you do get up there, I would consider taking your gains. You're well in value. You're going to have more chances to buy it. If it pulls back, you can re-long it. remember that it's not the be all and end all. If you're never taking gains on a rise, because you're going to want to buy it again if you don't. Okay, so if you took it, let's say up here, you're just going to buy it on a fall anyway. If you don't take it, you're just going to buy more or risk all your profits. And if you want to make money long term, you can't afford to be sitting on the profits and never taking them. Okay, it's just so dangerous. So, like I said, trade safely, trade small, especially if you're going to short it. I wouldn't buy any of this unless you can get a significant pullback to 44,000 at least. That might take a lot. Okay, you might need some harsh sentiment. If you get back to there, that might be ideal. It's just too late to buy for me. And again, I'm not saying it won't go higher. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying you're not getting long side value there, and you're running the risk of buying close to where others are shorting. And of course, if you suddenly buy it and it goes down, then you'll be screwed. And remember, if you're then saying to yourself, well, there's no way it can go down, that just isn't true. It's a fact that it could go down as well as it could go up. Okay, if you're trading on an existential basis where you have absolutely invested everything you can on this gamble, on this idea that it's going to go up for certain, you are just running the most greatest of risks possible. And it's incredibly dangerous to do so. So make sure your risk is proportionate to the risk of the market, and make sure if you're trading, you're a deal taker. Okay, you want good deals. Buying now is at a price where you've already come up. That's called FOMO. There's a good deal there and a good deal there if you're invested in Bitcoin and you believe in the long-term case. And like I said, it all comes back to it. Absolutely. Comes back to the idea, do you believe in the long-term case or not? And then, of course, you would look to buy those dips. This one is just shy of 20%, isn't it? And then the one much further down is for your long-term investors around your long-term investor MAs, which track the long-term move of price versus the nearer-term MAs, which track the near-term. So you could consider locking in short. I would consider taking gains higher if you've got them as well. You've got good profits on the table. There's absolutely no point in sitting around and risking them. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget my free training is underneath, and then you can join our live trading room where we cover all charts every day, New York session. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. See you there.